Hey guys, welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit, Am I the A-hole? This one's from user Babe Miller. Am I the a-hole for calling mother-in-law by her last name instead of grandma? My relation to my mother-in-law, Mrs. Smith, is crap. She's cold to me because I kept my last name, Miller. She says I'll treat her like family when she wants to be a part of it. She calls me Jake's friend. My husband, Jake, loves me all the same. He doesn't bother standing up to her because it's a way for her to start a fight. We rarely talk to her. She makes no effort, neither do we. Jake and I discussed whose last name our kid would have prior to the birth. He initiated the conversation. I'd left the decision up to him. After the birth, the families visited at the hospital. Jake asked what our son's last name was gonna be. I told him it was still his choice. He smiled and said, "Little baby Miller. I like it." He filled out the paperwork. Mother-in-law looked livid. She started asking questions, but my dad started crying. Both of my brothers have died. Dad has never mentioned it, but I know passing the last name down makes him happy. Neither Jake or I anticipated this, nor did it for this reason, but it was sweet all the same. After she left, mother-in-law let people know what I had done, and how now she wouldn't feel like a grandmother. A month later, a sister-in-law announced her pregnancy. Mother-in-law said, "Finally, I'll feel like a grandmother." Again, my husband didn't say anything, neither did I. Our son started talking. During a video call where my mother-in-law did nothing but gush about sister-in-law's daughter, who is adorable, Jake was trying to get the baby to talk. Son lost interest. I took son and Jake let mother-in-law ramble some more before ending the call. Mother-in-law said she wanted to say bye to son. Jake turned the phone. Mother-in-law said, "Say bye to grandma." "Make son say it. I'm grandma now." I snapped inside, so I said, "Say bye to Mrs. Smith." Mother-in-law's face dropped. Jake turned the camera away and said bye quickly. He laughed and said I was awesome, but we better put our phones on silent. The only call and text I responded to was the other sister-in-law who said I didn't need to go out of my way to be nasty. That mother-in-law went around saying how excited she was about son. Lie. That her initial comments were understandable because I talked Jake out of a tradition. I did not. And that I'd hurt mother-in-law. Mother-in-law needed time to adjust. I said, "Thank you for your input." Mother-in-law texted eventually saying I'd really upset her. I said, "Here I was trying to respect the importance you feel to last names. You've said multiple times I'm not family because of my last name. You made it more than clear that's the reason my child doesn't make you feel like a grandma. Now you'll be known as Mrs. Smith." She said sorry, she didn't mean it that way, but that my dad's reaction was an example of how important last names are. I now had to forgive her because we're family. It made me angrier that she brought my dad into this, and I can't tell if I'm being the a-hole or not. The judgment is not the a-hole. Now let's take a look at the top comments. Whatever 8 says, "Your husband is right, that was awesome. F that noise. Not the a-hole, stick to your guns on this. When you played stupid games, you win stupid prizes, and she is the Showcase Showdown champion now." Too Tall to Function says, "Not the a-hole. If she needs her son's biological son to have the same name as her to feel a connection or commitment to him, then she's not a good person. She's superficial and vapid. She doesn't get to shun you and treat you and your son like strangers for however long, and then turn around and demand empathy or an apology from you." OP's edit. Jake is home and I had him read the post. Some of you cracked him up, some made good points which we have discussed. Apparently, he also got a text from his sister and asked how much money she got from mother-in-law for telling me off. He also made sure to tell sister-in-law who had the baby that we hold nothing against her, should mother-in-law try to spin it that way. She knows mother-in-law better, thankfully. Jake would also like to tell those who are telling me I should take his name that he disagrees and he's not about the sexism you're spewing. Though he does know what to send mother-in-law. A Christmas card from the Millers. Just to clarify, my son will not be calling mother-in-law Mrs. Smith. They barely have a relationship as he's still a baby and mother-in-law makes no effort. After some discussion, Jake is gonna take time to figure out what he wants from mother-in-law and if he thinks that's possible. I gotta say, OP, what you did is really funny, and especially that say goodbye to Mrs. Smith thing, that was a very hypothetical smack in the face for her, right? Like that one commenter said, you don't need to have the same last name to have a connection. For that logic, no maternal grandmother in a culture where women take the last name is gonna have a connection with their grandchildren, and that's just stupid. What do you guys think about the mother-in-law? Well, it's time to move on with the update to get some closure. Jake and I appreciated all the support, though Jake wants the DMers to know that he's okay with me taking his balls because he loses everything anyway. This brought him a good chuckle before the serious talk. We both also want to be very clear that taking his name was never on the table, nor does he care. I also do want to say I know how great Jake is. Though since the post he's been demanding I thank the world's best husband anytime he does something for me. His humor is my favorite part of him. Because it's his mom, I let him decide how to handle it. We both did agree that our son would obviously know mother-in-law as his grandma, but he wouldn't have a relationship with her unless she addressed the blatant favoritism. That conversation did not go well. She denied having favorites, lied about pretty much everything, then told me the compromise she was willing to make was that if she had to accept me for who I am, being that I kept my name, I'd have to accept her for who she is. I didn't respond before Jake ripped into her about how she didn't get to make demands. That she was critical of me, assumed things that he already told her weren't true. That this conversation was happening because we didn't accept who she was. He said if he ever heard her make another comment about the Miller last name, he'd take it. She started crying about losing her family and he hung up. One sister-in-law, who is mother-in-law's favorite child, sent me a nasty message including the line, "I wonder if your dead brother would be happy you used him to break mother-in-law's heart." I sent the screenshot to mother-in-law and said, "Call off your dog or I'll take her to the pound." I have sent a screenshot of that to anyone who has tried to question me. If they try to defend mother-in-law or sister-in-law, I blocked them. Word got around quickly about this, and now sister-in-law is all but cut out of father-in-law's side of the family. Even father-in-law has come down on her hard. Sister-in-law is desperately trying to apologize and fix this. She even allowed Jake to read everything mother-in-law sent to her about my last name. I tried to read some of it, but I stopped. I don't want to be angry, I'm taking time to decide how to handle this. I am happy to be done with mother-in-law. She never really bothered me. It does take a lot to get to me, but I don't want her behavior and attitudes being normalized with my son. I wasn't prepared for motherhood to have such a strong effect. Jake did admit he gave son my last name for my dad. Years ago, my dad asked if Jake was gonna propose to me. Jake said if my dad wanted to know, he would give him a heads up, but he wouldn't ask for his blessing or permission. In many more words, Dad said he never had any expectations of that. He didn't worry about gender roles, though he was glad he would gain a son again. Jake didn't feel obligated, he just wanted to do that for my dad. Sincerely, thank you all. OP's edit. I did not expect to wake up to the amount of messages I did. I appreciate them all. Jake takes both the compliments and the insults, as do I. I also want to clear up some questions. 1. Yes, this is real, but I'm not going to prove that. 2. Mother-in-law took father-in-law's name. They are divorced. They have 2 daughters and 2 sons. Brother-in-law intends to have children and will pass the Smith name. Sister-in-law has a daughter who has sister-in-law's husband's name. Sister-in-law also took his name. The youngest sister-in-law is the one who sent the text. 3. I am not going to apologize for how I spoke to mother-in-law after she encouraged her daughter to use my brother like that. There is text proof that mother-in-law did this. Sister-in-law showed Jake. I have no intentions on seeking therapy or a relationship with either of them, and that's the most that can be asked of me in this upset of a state. 4. If and when we have a second child, I always intended for them to get Jake's last name. Jake knows and is cool with it. 5. Jake is willing to be called by my last name, but I doubt he'll actually change it. Neither of us are willing to do the paperwork out of spite either. 6. Yes, I still cry remembering my dad cry about this. I always assumed Jake did this for this reason. He really is a great man. Well, OP, you're right. Your mother-in-law's toxic. Best thing you can do is cut her out of your life. And also, that little minion she has for her daughter. Out. And yeah, your husband sounds like a really cool guy. So congratulations on that. The best for the both of you. This one's from user TimeBomb969. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend the truth about an influencer? Cannot believe I'm posting this, but I was asked to, and here I go. I'm 21, she's 22, both female. We went to high school together. In high school, I had more free time, so I followed some influencers on Instagram. Thankfully, I grew out of that. Friend in question was, still is, living in her dream world, trying so hard to emulate some Instagram influencers, mainly fitness, booty building ones. Enter this influencer. I followed her at first because I liked her style. She had the perfect life, a long-term solid marriage, their own business in fitness, a house, 2 dogs, and then a baby. My friend caught on to me looking at her and followed her. 2 years went on. We finished high school and grew apart. One day, I scrolled through stories with the influencer posting a clickbait YouTube vlog. She also made money off of YouTube. It's got her crying in the thumbnail. So I open, watch, and I close the video appalled. Basically, their child was around 1. They continuously let her taunt their dog, a male lab mix. They filmed her for stories and blogs how she's doing some things to him. One day, the dog had enough and growled a little, so they took it upon themselves to euthanize him without trying rehabilitating him or to adopt him out. That's their own words. It wasn't the first time they refused to discipline their child by instilling boundaries, and it wasn't the last time they filmed the kid taunting animals. Family members come near my cats. I try teaching them boundaries. Signs of my cats wanting to be left alone or wanting to be pet. I always warn if they hiss, scratch you, or run away in fear, you leave the animal alone, and we're gonna go play with some toy you bring or do another activity. This dog was an angel in their vlogs. He was a lab mix and always so calm. They filmed their daughter agitating both them and their other small dog repeatedly, and when the dogs would backtrack, they'd laugh at their daughter and not warn her. In the video, I couldn't post details, but they said she agitated the dog. He growled and bumped her with his snout a bit harder in the arms so she'd let go of his ears. She was around 1 year old then. And they established how he's aggressive immediately without any advice. Allegedly researched how no one would take him in like this. Their research was Google and they did it in a day. They scheduled a euthanization in the same week and the vet did it. The poor baby never got a chance to even be photographed and posted on either of their accounts or taken to a shelter to be adopted. Their first resolution was ending his life and never disciplining their child or establishing boundaries. I would never tell someone how to parent, but when you have 2 people laughing at a child, provoking a dog, and later repeatedly hitting adults with her toys and toy shopping cart, I'd step in and ask them to read a parenting book. The child is also constantly throwing tantrums, and the mom continuously films it and posts to her stories and play mocks her. Ah, my poor baby nickname. Same for vlogs. In them, she doesn't put her camera down to deal with the tantrum. She filmed it till end. I'm sorry if I'm parent shaming. I just can't understand this type of parenting or pimping your child plus their moments for views on vlogs. I was furious. I went to her Instagram and there was a crap storm. She blocked everyone who said something unrelated to complimenting her butt. deleted comments inquiring about the dog, and ended up twisting the story fully from the video. Apparently, the dog was aggressive 24/7 for months, and it had to be done. Normally, people would remove the dog from such a situation as soon as it happens, right? When she got tired of people calling her out, she deleted the video 4 to 5 hours after posting, and comments. I unfollowed then and there. Fast forward to pre-health crisis. I stumbled upon friend and she wanted to grab coffee. I was looking forward to catching up, but got seriously disappointed fast. She was still stuck in her bubble, still obsessing over Instagram models' bodies, ignoring the obvious surgeries, Facetune, thinking it's all natural. The mentioned influencer was still on her follow list and she started showing me her photos. I told her I'm not following the influencer anymore, and after being asked, I explained why. The look in her eyes has changed and her mood went downhill. She was pretty mad at me for destroying her view and image of that influencer and how I'm lying. Some pages covered it, so I'm fairly sure I'm not lying. She paid her coffee and left, refused to talk to me since. Another high school friend wants us all to catch up soon, and I don't know if I want to reconnect with friend in question. Am I the a-hole for telling her the truth about an influencer? The judgment is not the a-hole. Now let's take a look at the top comments. Father Son Holy Toast says, "You're the a-hole for making me feel so old reading your post." Seriously though, not the a-hole. Frankly, I think dispelling the idealism around influencers can be a bit of a public service, since idolizing influencers, whose posts are highly curated, selectively edited, can lead to feelings of inadequacy and negative mental health effects. Extra Canon says, "No a-holes here. Your friend asked why you didn't like the influencer and you told. She seems a bit foolish for still being in this bubble and refusing to listen to external comments telling her the majority of these things are faked. But I can understand why she is angry, but it shouldn't be aimed at you. It should be aimed at the influencer who lied to her followers and forcing a story into a style because it makes her look better." OP responds, "My friend's reaction is honestly worrying me. Same with her behavior. She went through high school starving herself and forcing herself to lift weights just so she can have little to no waist and a huge butt, trying to emulate this popular booty queen influencer. Another one, not the one in story. We repeatedly tried helping and she refused to listen. I hoped real life and maturing post high school would help her a little. She's still stuck in there trying to be the next big influencer and a star in our city. We have some, but they aren't as big on Instagram. And she still thinks everything on social media is so raw and real. She cut a lot of us out for trying to tell her the opposite and how things are easily manipulated. Thanks for the judgment." Eights on off the 7th says, "Not the a-hole. She asked why, you told her. People get too wrapped up in these kinds of people that profit off their followers' insecurities." Well, OP, in my opinion, there is one clear a-hole here. It's not you, so you're not the a-hole. It's not your friend, because she's just a doofus. It's the influencer who euthanized a dog after her child was aggravating it and she didn't do anything to correct it. So, in my opinion, there are two big issues here. One, that influencer, horrible parent. Horrible parent. And two, horrible pet owner as well. Honestly, I'm angry that she euthanized a dog to try to get clicks. That is disgusting. But of course, that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. So now we're gonna move on with the update and see what happened after this. Hey everyone, I felt like I had to make this after being asked to and seeing some people say they were curious about what happened during the reunion. I also appreciate all the comments, judgments, and personal stances, plus talks I've had with other commenters about friends' behavior. PS, I did not expect so much feedback and traffic on this post, so thank you for that, plus awards. It's been a month since the post. The friend who wanted us together, we'll call her A, flew back home early. She studies abroad, about 10 days after the post. Due to having to isolate, we postponed the virtual get-together for this upcoming weekend. We spoke to the friend about joining us for a round of drinks, virtually, and she said no. A asked her why, and F, the friend, explained she thinks all of us are childish and immature. Why? Because she thinks we are just plain jealous of women on Instagram who make a living as influencers. F sees that as her future career. She neglects her current studies and focuses on Instagram more. She locks it and unlocks it every few days, deactivates at least 2 times a month, throws her phone when she sees someone she thinks looks better than her. She's back to her old habits and destroying herself because she would not stop obsessing. She's hurting herself all over women who surgically enhance themselves and also edit to no end. I'm only using Instagram for art and some activism. F blocked me so I can't contact her there or see her, but it's for the best maybe. If she thinks she's smart and we're childish for wanting to help, I'm sorry to say, but I was on my last nerves and I can't help anymore to those who refuse to help themselves. The get-together, aka virtual reunion, is happening with our group this weekend and without her. As far as the influencer goes, I'm not sure if my post made it to Instagram as some do, but friend 3 from the group, who knows this throwaway, sent me screen records. It was the influencer's stories, and get this you guys, she posted photos of her kid hugging the other small dog, then another story, baby talking, "Oh, is that your best friendy?" and "Oh, you guys are so cute." How they're such a good duo and all. 6 hours after my post. And then she slipped by posting her daughter having a tantrum, being angry at the dog because he jumped off the bed and went to sleep. She wanted to throw the ball at him while being angry, and I heard the weakest, most passive "no" from the influencer. Kid threw herself on the floor wailing, like in the movies. If she saw that and sees this, then hi woman, please take care of that kid. Anyways, that's about it. Nothing too important, but like I said, I wanted to update for those who've enjoyed the original post and asked for an update eventually. Hope y'all are staying good and safe as you can. Well, OP, I am so sorry you lost a friend to Instagram, if that's what happened here. But your friend is a doofus, like I said, and she just drank the Kool-Aid. Like you said, you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. As for that influencer, since I have nothing nice to say, I'm not gonna say anything. But you know what I'm thinking, it has a lot of B's and C's in it. This one's from user throwaway AITA wifey. Am I the a-hole for not siding with the other wives? Background. I've been with my husband for 6 years total, married for 2. We have no children and do not plan to. My 27 female husband, 32 male, has a group of guys that he's been friends with since elementary school. After college, they all moved back to the same area and several of them rented a house together until they started getting girlfriends and moving out. After they moved out, they still had guys' night nearly every Friday until lockdown happened. They started back up a few months ago after restrictions in our area relaxed, and the majority of the guys started getting tested regularly because of their jobs. There is one single guy, let's call him B, left in the group, and they meet at his house and hang out in the carport to drink a few beers and just shoot the crap. I've never had a problem with my husband, W, going to guys' night. He gets off work at 5 and is usually home no later than 8 every Friday. He never drives home drunk, and if he ever does have a few too many, I don't mind going to pick him up. I feel like I should note that we live the farthest away from B's house, about 15 minutes. All the other guys live within walking distance of B. Usually, I bake cookies or other snacks for him to take with him to share with the guys. I also don't mind driving the other guys home if needed. If we have plans or anything, he doesn't go. Since the guys' night has returned, the other wives have been complaining about it. We're friendly, but none of us are really good friends like our husbands are. We've tried to have a girls' night while the guys have their nights, but most of them have kids and we really don't have anything in common outside of our husbands. It was just awkward. One of the guys, A, is married to F, and they have a 1-year-old baby. F has been particularly vocal about not wanting A to be out every Friday, as she wants help at home. The other wives backed her up and started a group chat asking that we present a united front to cancel Guys' Night. Here's where I may be the a-hole. I refused to side with them. It gives me time to unwind after work and it's become part of my routine. So when the other wives told their husbands that they didn't want Guys' Night to happen anymore, I told W that I didn't feel the same way and he should keep going. He enjoys it and he should get to see his friends regularly. So after the confrontation, the other guys started in with, "Why can't you be cool like W's wife?" Or "She lets him go, she even makes us cookies and picks him up," etc. A apparently made the comment, "I wish I was still single like B. He can do whatever he wants and I miss that." All the other wives are angry at me, saying if we had been a united front like they planned, Guys' Night would either be cancelled or a less frequent occurrence, once a month. So, am I the a-hole? The judgment is not the a-hole. Now let's take a look at the top comments. Pizza Martini says, not the a-hole. Quote, "The other guys started in with, 'Why can't you be cool like W's wife?' Or 'She lets him go, she even makes us cookies and picks him up,' etc. A apparently made the comment, 'I wish I was still single like B. He can do whatever he wants and I miss that.'" End quote. Those guys are total a-holes. Jokey haha says, not the a-hole. The wives are a-holes. The other guys are a-holes. But this is also coming after being together for 25 years. Back when we had little ones, I likely would have understood the wife's position more. Weekly might be a bit much. Why not every other week or once a month as a compromise? Willow Girl says, not the a-hole. But I don't necessarily think the wives are being a-holes either. Unless the ones with kids are getting a night off as well, I totally see where they're coming from and their husbands saying all that crap is just messed up. They're the real a-holes here. OP's edit. Some info to clear up some assumptions I'm seeing in the comments. All the wives work. I do not know if the moms get nights to themselves like the guys do. I do not know the details of their family dynamics. I do know all the wives have tried to have girls' night amongst ourselves and it didn't work because we have nothing in common. I'm pretty sure all the wives have other friends, but I do not know when or how often they do things outside of the home. I sent cookies and treats because I make them for my blog, not just to make them for the guys. I did not respond to the original messages in the group chat. I found out the wives confronted the guys via my husband. Okay, OP, one thing is very clear, you are not the a-hole. Now let's break this down. The other husbands saying that why can't their wives be as cool as you, that is an a-hole move, so that makes them the a-holes. As for the wives, what is this united front you speak of? That's just wrong. If you have something to discuss with your husband, then you discuss that with your husband. If F has a problem with A going to the friend's night or whatever you want to call it, then F has the problem and she needs to address it with A. This isn't some sort of union negotiation where everybody rallies behind one cause. No, this is a couples thing, not a group thing. And that makes the other wives the a-holes. So I guess to sum it up, everybody's an a-hole except you and your husband. Okay, now that I've got that off my chest, let's move on with the update. A lot has happened in the last 3 weeks. After reading all the replies together, W and I decided it would be best for him to confront his friends, particularly A. He told them it wasn't cool to try to throw me under the bus with their wives and that their wives, especially the ones with kids, need and deserve time to themselves too. According to the guys, all the wives are getting time to themselves without the kids each week, with A's wife, F, getting the most time out of anyone. She works until 4, but doesn't pick up their baby until 7 every day. She has a workout class 3 times a week and a standing girls' night every Wednesday where she doesn't come home until 10 or 11 p.m. A picks up the baby on Wednesdays. W and I held a brief, socially distanced get-together in our yard to clear the air. I confirmed what the guys had said about the wives getting time, and the wives admitted that they do. Whether it's manicures, gym time, book club, etc. That's when I found out about F's social schedule. They then confirmed that all the guys were attentive and involved dads. W later told me he was sure his friends weren't complete crapbags, but was glad to have the reassurance. Then it erupted into a fight between A and F, with A saying he only gets 1 hour a week to himself since he gets off at 7 and is home by 8. F broke down and started screaming that it wasn't the time spent with his friends, but his comments the following days. She then turned on me, literally pointed and screamed that it was my fault, that during the lockdown, for the first time in over 5 years, she didn't have to listen to A talk about me all effing weekend. I was shell-shocked and didn't know what to say, but W jumped in and told her she could not talk to me like that and she should probably leave before she said something she couldn't take back. F left and A stayed. Afterwards, the other wives admitted they only agreed to the ultimatum after F relentlessly persuaded and pushed them into it. I have never seen this side of F before, so I had no idea she could be like this. A has been sleeping at B's house for almost 2 weeks now. He's still picking up spending time with the baby, but he doesn't sleep at his house. He says they're going to try therapy, and if that doesn't work, they'll probably separate. As much as I dislike the guy, I feel bad for him. Guys' night has resumed. I still sent cookies, but W says he doesn't bring me up and shuts the guys down if they try to talk about me. Aha! So it all boiled down to an idiot husband overly commenting about somebody else's wife and an insecure wife jealous with all the comments that she was hearing over the weekend. Well guys, I think we know who the a-holes in this story are, right? A and F. It truly must have sucked for F that A would go all weekend talking about how fantastic OP was. And of course, it's not cool that F in her jealousy tried to sabotage the guys' night because she didn't like the comments. That's pretty selfish. I do hope therapy helps both of them and they can mend their marriage for their baby's sake. What do you guys think? And that's it for this video. If you'd like, here are other videos from my channel that you would enjoy. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.